Australia is a country that many people find surprising. It has about 27 million people. This is a small number, similar to the population of just one big city like Tokyo. But Australia is a very large country, almost the same size as the United States. Despite having few people spread across such a vast land, Australia is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Its total economy is huge, worth about 1.7 trillion US dollars every year. When you look at how much money each person has, Australia ranks among the top 20 nations, with about 64,600 US dollars per person annually. This situation makes Australia an interesting puzzle. How does it create so much wealth? One reason is that Australia is very far from other major countries. This distance should make it hard to trade and do business, but Australia has used this isolation to its advantage. The central part of Australia is a vast desert, often called the Dead Heart. This dry, empty area seems like it would be useless, yet deep under this desert lies some of the planet's most valuable minerals. These resources act like a powerful engine, driving Australia's $1.7 trillion economy. At the same time, the busy cities along the coast, where most Australians live, have also grown into strong centers for services and businesses, adding more to the nation's prosperity. This book will explain the many reasons behind Australia's success. It is not just about one thing. Instead, it is a mix of its rich geology, some good fortune, careful planning by its government, and a smart way of managing its population growth through immigration. We will look closely at the mining industry, which digs up valuable resources like iron ore and lithium from the ground. We will also learn how Australia grows huge amounts of food for the world. The book will explore Australia's relationships with its biggest trading partners and how it brings in skilled people from other countries. We will also see how staying safe from big wars has helped its growth. In the end, we will discuss the challenges Australia faces today, like the high cost of housing, and what the future holds for this lucky country. 2. The rich earth. Australia's wealth starts deep underground. The land is incredibly old, and over billions of years, special minerals formed there. This is like winning a geological lottery for the country. Mining these resources is a very large part of Australia's economy. Each year, selling these resources brings in a staggering amount of money, about 383 to 385 billion Australian dollars. This represents around 70%.
Australia sells more iron ore than any other country. In a recent year, it earned 116 billion Australian dollars from iron ore exports. About 37% of all iron ore produced globally comes from Australia. Much of this comes from a place called the Pilbara, located in Western Australia, which holds some of the world's richest deposits. The iron ore found there is very pure, making it easier and cheaper to process. This gives Australian miners a big advantage in global markets. Another big part of Australia's growing wealth comes from what people call the lithium revolution. Lithium is crucial for batteries in electric vehicles and for storing renewable energy. It is like the new oil for the modern world. Australia holds almost 40% of the world's lithium supply. This makes the country a key player in the future of green energy and transport. While lithium prices can go up and down, the global demand for it is expected to grow a lot in the coming years, meaning this resource will continue to be very valuable. Australia also mines and exports other important resources. It sells a lot of coal,
which earns about 70 billion Australian dollars each year. Coal is used for electricity and for making steel. Liquefied natural gas, LNG, is also a very big export, bringing in around 65 to 72 billion Australian dollars annually, making Australia one of the top exporters.
These resources, along with others like rare earth elements, cobalt, and nickel, are extracted from the earth and then shipped across the globe. Many countries rich in natural resources often face a problem known as the resource curse. This happens when too much focus on resources leads to issues like corruption or when other parts of the economy do not grow. But Australia has largely avoided this curse. It has strong government rules and fair laws that help prevent corruption. The country also has many different types of industries, not just mining, which keeps its economy balanced. Clear rules for mining companies ensure that money from these resources benefits the Australian public through taxes and royalties. Additionally, a well-educated workforce means that people who work in mining can also find jobs in other growing sectors, preventing a permanent over-reliance on one industry. These stable systems and diverse economic activities form the strong base of Australia's cash flow from its rich earth. 3. Growing food. Australia is a big country that is also very good at growing food. This makes it an agricultural superpower. Even though some parts of Australia have dry weather, farmers grow huge amounts of food for the world. They send about 70% of all the food they grow to other countries. This brings in around 75 billion Australian dollars each year, adding greatly to Australia's wealth.
The country's large size means it has many different types of land and weather. In the warm, tropical north, you can find huge cattle stations. Here, cows eat grass over vast areas. This beef is then prepared and sold around the world. As you travel south, the weather changes. You see farms growing different things, like wheat and barley. Further south, in cooler areas, you find vineyards where grapes for famous Australian wines grow. These southern vineyards create beautiful landscapes. Wheat is one of Australia's most important farm products. Australian farmers grow many millions of tons of high-quality wheat. This wheat is known for being very good. Countries like Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, and China buy a lot of it. One smart thing about Australia is that its harvest time for wheat is from November to January. This is when countries in the Northern Hemisphere, like America and Europe, are not harvesting. So Australia can sell its wheat when others cannot, which is a big advantage. Australia is also a top seller of beef. The beef industry is very large, bringing in many billions of dollars. From big farms in the north to special places where cattle are fed grain, Australia produces many kinds of beef for different tastes. It sends a lot of beef to the United States, Japan, and South Korea. This makes Australia the third largest beef exporter in the world. Farmers also grow lamb and mutton, which are popular in the Middle East and China. Farmers use clever new technologies to grow food, even when there is not much rain. Methods like precision agriculture help them use water wisely. These tools help them get a lot from the dry soil, squeezing out billions of dollars in crops. This way, Australia helps feed people all over the world, often while many Australians are asleep. The wine industry also brings in a lot of money. Australian wines are famous, and many countries want them. After some difficulties, sales of Australian wine to China have greatly increased again, helping southern vineyards flourish. This blend of different climates, smart farming, and strategic timing helps Australia make a lot of money from its farms. It turns its challenging land into a source of wealth and food for the global market. 4. The big buyer. Australia has a very important trade partner, China. A lot of what Australia sells to other countries goes to China. About 1/3, or 33% of all Australian exports go there. This means China buys many of Australia's goods and services. This connection brings a lot of money to Australia. For example, in the financial year 2024-2025, Australia sent goods and services worth a huge amount to China, around 189 to 196 billion Australian dollars. The most important export to China is iron ore. More than half, 57% of all Australian goods sent to China are iron ore. Other important exports include other minerals and natural gas.
Australia's good quality iron ore and strong supply chains mean it still sells a lot to China, even when things are difficult. In 2025, Australia sent 2% more iron ore to China than the previous record. But having one very big buyer also brings risks. What if China decides to buy less from Australia? This could cause big economic problems for Australia. China is changing its economy. It wants to rely less on building new things and more on its own people buying things. This change might mean China needs less iron ore and other raw materials from Australia. China is also looking to buy minerals and resources from other countries, like iron ore from Africa or nickel from Indonesia. This strategy helps China buy from many places, not just one. Australia has also faced problems in its relationship with China. There have been times when China put extra taxes, called tariffs, on Australian products. For example, Australian wine exports faced these tariffs. For several years, it was very hard for Australian wine to be sold in China. These tariffs were only removed in March 2024, and then wine sales quickly increased again. Another example is Australian rock lobster. This trade, worth about 700 million Australian dollars a year, was also stopped for several years, but started again in December 2024. These events show the careful balance Australia must keep. It wants to earn a lot of money from its trade with China.
But it also knows that relying too much on one country can be risky. Australia has to manage both its economic profit and the political risks that come with this close connection. 5. Smart new people. Australia does not just wait for its population to grow. Instead, the country carefully chooses who comes to live and work there. This is a key part of how Australia builds its wealth, by finding the right people with the right skills. This system is called human capital engineering. It helps Australia get the workers it needs, like a business hiring for specific jobs. The country has a special system to choose skilled workers. It is based on points. People get points for different things. For example, younger people between 25 and 32 years old get more points. Good English language skills also give many points. Education and work experience, both in Australia and other countries, add more points. People need at least 65 points to be considered. But for jobs with high demand, like IT, people often need 85 or 90 points. This system makes sure Australia brings in people with the most valuable skills for its economy. Recently, a new visa called Skills in Demand started in December 2024. It has 3 levels based on how much money a person earns. This helps match migration to what the market needs. Bringing many skilled people to Australia helps the economy grow.
These new workers join the workforce and spend money, which helps businesses. Many migrants are young, between 25 and 45. This means they pay taxes and need fewer public services than older people. However, this fast growth in population also creates problems. There are not enough homes for everyone, and public services like transport can become crowded. For example, in 2023 and 2024, Australia's population grew quickly, but the money each person made actually went down. This shows the strain on resources. The government now plans migration levels with housing needs in mind. Another big part of bringing in smart new people is the international education industry. Australia sells education to students from all over the world. This is a very large business, earning billions of dollars each year. In 2024 and 2025, it brought in about 53.6 billion Australian dollars. This makes education Australia's fourth biggest export, after things like iron ore and natural gas. Students pay for their studies and also for living expenses, like food and rent. This money helps Australian universities a lot. For some, international student fees are vital to stay open. These students also work part-time in jobs like retail or hotels, filling important gaps in the workforce.
However, critics say that some of the money these students spend comes from their earnings in Australia, not just from overseas. Also, students send some money back to their home countries. Even with these points, the education industry still brings a lot of money into Australia. Most of these students come from countries in Asia, such as China and India. Because of these factors, Australia has a high Human Development Index, meaning people have good health, education, and living standards. 6. Safe from war. Australia has a unique economic advantage called the peace premium. This means the country has never experienced major modern wars on its own land. For example, during the 20th century, many nations in Europe and Asia had their cities, homes, and factories destroyed by wars. They then had to spend a lot of effort and money to rebuild everything from the ground up. Australia was different. Its geographic location kept it safe from widespread destruction. While there were a few attacks during World War II, they did not greatly harm the nation's key industries or its economy. This protection meant that Australia could keep building its wealth and infrastructure without interruption. Roads, railways, and factories built decades ago continued to serve the country, earning money year after year.
This long history of continuous growth without the need for costly rebuilding gave Australia a significant lead in gathering wealth compared to many other developed nations. The country also follows an economic plan known as the Anglo-Saxon model. This system is much like those in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. It believes in open markets where businesses can compete freely. It strongly protects people's rights to own property and makes it easy for businesses to operate. This simple, clear way of doing business helps bring in investments from around the world. It shows that Australia is a safe and reliable place for global companies to put their money. Australia's steady banking system is another key strength. After the global financial crisis, the government made banks very strong. This means people's money is safe, and the economy can stay steady even when things are difficult globally. The country also has strong public services, like a universal healthcare system, Medicare, which is affordable for everyone and offers good care. Also, there is very little corruption, making Australia a trustworthy place. Because of all these elements, peace, a clear economic model, and stable systems, Australia itself becomes a valuable asset. It attracts investment because investors know their money is secure. This stability has helped Australia achieve a long period of economic growth, making it one of the world's richest countries. Cost of living. Australia is famous for its natural beauty. This beauty helps a lot with its economy through tourism. In 2024, tourism brought in almost 300 billion Australian dollars. This part of the economy also created 1.6 million jobs. People from all over the world come to see places like the Great Barrier Reef, which is the world's largest coral reef. They also visit the famous Sydney Opera House and the sacred Uluru Rock. After the difficult times of the COVID-19 pandemic, many international visitors returned. Countries like China, New Zealand, the United States, and the United Kingdom send many tourists to Australia. These visitors spend billions of dollars, helping local businesses and workers across the country. Tourism is a big part of how Australia earns money, showing off its unique places to the world. However, life in Australia also has a difficult side, especially when it comes to housing. While the country is rich, many people struggle to find an affordable home. Property prices have gone up very quickly in recent years. For example, by December 2025, the average house price in Australia was almost 1.3 million Australian dollars. Unit prices were also high, around $716,000. This makes Australia one of the most expensive countries for housing. These high prices have created a big problem. Older people who already own homes have become much richer.
Their homes are now worth a lot more money, which gives them financial security. But for young Australians, it is very hard to buy a home. They need a very large amount of money for a deposit, sometimes more than $100,000 or even $200,000 in big cities. Sydney, Australia's largest city, saw its average house price reach over $1.2 million. Melbourne also had average house prices near $1 million. Even smaller capital cities like Brisbane and Adelaide have seen big price jumps, making homeownership a dream for many. This situation is sometimes called a housing lottery because getting a home depends so much on luck and timing. Many things cause these high prices. Australia's population is growing fast, especially in the big cities. Sydney's population grows by over 100,000 people each year, but not enough new homes are being built to keep up with all the new people. For example, in 2024, only about 177,000 new homes were finished, but the country needed more than 225,000. Also, tax rules make it easy for investors to buy properties. These rules encourage people to buy more homes, which drives prices even higher. For those who cannot buy, renting is also difficult. Rents went up by 5.2%.
There are not many empty homes for rent, making it hard to find a place and pushing prices up. These higher rents mean that a large part of people's income goes to housing. This creates serious cost of living problems for many average citizens, as their wages do not grow as fast as housing costs. This shows a big difference in Australia, a wealthy nation where many residents face a daily struggle to afford a basic place to live. The cost of living, especially for housing, divides the country, creating challenges for the future. The future. Australia has been lucky, but its future holds big questions. Can it keep its wealth? there are new problems that could change everything for the country. One big problem is climate change. It is hurting Australia's natural treasures. The Great Barrier Reef is special, but warmer oceans are damaging it badly. This means fewer tourists may visit, which hurts the money Australia makes from tourism. Also, farming faces threats. Dry weather, big fires, and floods are happening more often. Places like the Murray-Darling Basin, which is very important for growing food, could get less water. The world is also moving away from coal, which Australia sells a lot of. This change means Australia needs to find new ways to make money. Selling less coal could mean much less money for the country. Australia's close link with China is another risk. China buys many of Australia's minerals.
But China's economy is changing, and it wants to buy goods from other countries too. If China buys less, Australia could earn less. At home, the high cost of houses is a problem for many people. Houses cost so much that young people find it hard to buy a home. This divide between those who own homes and those who do not could cause problems for the country's social well-being. Also, while the country's total money grows, the money each person has to live on has gone down for many. This means life might not be getting better for everyone. So, what should Australia do? It needs to change from just taking things out of the ground to creating new ideas and products. It must move from being a lucky quarry to a smart innovator. This means making more things in Australia, not just digging up raw materials. For example, instead of just selling lithium ore, Australia could make battery parts. It also needs to use its good schools and clever people to build new types of businesses. Australia is already good at some new things, like making renewable energy and studying new ideas in universities. The country has strong systems and people who can solve problems, as seen during past world economic troubles. But this shift is not easy. It needs big changes in investments. Australia must find a way to protect its environment, like the Great Barrier Reef and its farms, while still making money. It needs to make sure housing is affordable for everyone.
The country has had much luck from its land and people. The real test is if Australia can use these gifts to build a strong future that lasts a long time for all its people. What do you think Australia needs to do most to have a good future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.